Welcome back, Jim.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back, everybody. Hope everybody had a very good Thanksgiving, including you and yours, Jim.
Mhm.
Today, stay tuned. Christie Hutcherson from Women Fighting for America is back. Came back to join us to talk about all the border issues, and we'll get into all those stories and everything going on there. But she is here to talk to us about that. Stay tuned for that. Plus, we got a few other things we need to discuss today. Jim,
Mhm.
all that on what?
That would be two guys
Mm-hmm.
and one coup.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Nope, not and one. Whoops. Two guys. Two guys, one. Anyway, two guys, one coup. Why did I say and one?
Why did you say? I mean,
I was watching basketball yesterday,
off
and
a
there was
few
a bunch of
days.
and ones.
yeah, a bunch of and one commercials.
No, and one. Remember the shoot the two,
Oh,
make
I
it,
know, I
foul,
know that.
and one.
And one is a brand though, as well now.
I'm very
because
aware of that.
But yeah.
Sorry, I screwed it up again.
I'm sorry you were watching basketball. I do not want to talk about sports today. I am
We're
not talking about it.
I wasn't
So we're
even
not.
going to talk. I wasn't
We're
even
not.
going to bring it up.
Okay. All right. Sports don't matter. It sucks.
Mm-mm.
All sports suck. It's just that's the way it is.
Well, I had
Sports
a
is
bad day.
stupid.
I had a bad day yesterday too, so we need to move on.
I mean, can it is it ever just about me?
99.9% of the time, yeah.
You gotta chime in. What about me?
No, I just said I had a bad
I
game
know.
too. All right, so
But I hear
I know.
like the majority of the
No,
listeners.
you had a really bad
What
weekend.
about me? You had what?
So you did beat me. You had a really bad weekend. So we'll just leave it at that.
I had a really bad weekend.
Yes.
Great Thanksgiving though.
Yes.
So that's what's
good to
important.
know.
It was an amazing Thanksgiving. It was great. Family, the whole works. And now on to Christmas mode.
Yeah.
And
a long
it's all
Christmas.
about What's
it's
it?
because of it. Thanksgiving was early this year. It's a long run to Christmas.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's usually you don't have that long in between, but we do now, which is good because I probably need it this year. So
yeah, because you're gonna say, "Oh, I got time. Oh shit,
yeah,
I gotta go shopping."
Oh crap! It's Christmas Eve, really?
Yeah.
And Christmas on a Monday. I mean,
yeah, I know.
It's just, I mean,
yeah, because
anyways.
holiday pay will be Sunday.
Sunday. And it won't go in until Tuesday.
Right. Exactly. I'm assuming that, I believe Monday and Tuesday will be the days off, I believe.
Oh, for you and I personally, or most people?
Most
I
people.
I would think most
Christmas
people.
break.
Monday
Yep.
and Tuesday, and then the following Monday and Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, because it's just not for some companies, because some companies don't give New Year's Eve off. So
That's true. So
it'd just be the Monday. So.
Yep, that's very true. So, but not ours, Jim. Ours is great. So very good. Very fortunate we are, you and I. Jim, Christie Hutcherson.
Yes.
Is going to be on with us here shortly. I can't speak enough about her. I hope people, and here's what I hope. I hope if they hadn't heard the last show with JJ Carroll, recently retired senior border patrol agent. If you didn't hear that episode,
kind of knows his stuff.
Yeah, go back and listen to that one, and then listen to this one with Christie Hutcherson of Women Fighting for America. She's great. Just a great individual, great person, and so knowledgeable and sacrifice so much like a lot of them do. And I think we need to give them their play. I think people need to share those episodes. I think they need to talk to those who don't want to listen about these types of people and who've seen it firsthand and continue to see it firsthand. We'll get into it, but we had her on, basically to right when the news broke that there was a car that crashed into the Rainbow Bridge Border Patrol site between Canada and New York the day before Thanksgiving. Of course, the immediate thought is terrorism, right? Or something, because it was an explosion. It was was not just a car crash. It was an explosion of debris flying everywhere. And so the first thought, and as reported by Fox News, terrorists, and there were other explosive devices, and they believe a car got through, and then all of a sudden the narrative changed, the story changed. A few days later, they come out with 2 names of some individuals that nothing that you would ever associate with a terrorist attack. And then now, it just kind of disappeared. That was it. I call bullshit.
I'm going to trust experts.
I call a little bit of bullshit on this. Huh?
I'm going to trust experts that we know.
I am too.
That say that is not what a car does when it wrecks and gasoline causes an explosion. That does not. The debris field, and Christine goes into it. Christie, sorry, goes into it. That it's not. This is a different kind of debris field, folks. So
different kind of debris field, and the initial reports are generally the correct reports from those on the ground who saw it, who investigated right away. And we're talking about Border Patrol agents. We're not talking about, your trusted FBI, Jim. They got involved, and then the narrative changed.
Yeah,
the story changed. So put on the tinfoil hat, maybe not. Something's fishy there. And we get into all that. So,
Yep. And something's happening.
Something's happening, folks. And of course, then why do we think that this is possible, that this is happening? Because so many people are coming over the border at record numbers, and so many are not being caught, so of course the initial reaction is going to be that to begin with.
And again, you see all these reports from the CNNs of the world and the MSNBCs about families needing a better life coming to the United States, and then you look at the pictures. Like, I don't see a lot of family there.
It's an awful lot of brothers, same age.
Yeah, I see a lot
military fighting age,
mid-20.
Prime military fighting age.
Yep.
Where's the women and children?
Yeah, I don't see a lot of them.
Interesting.
And the sad thing about it is the one picture that I saw in one of those networks. Don't they look at this stuff before they? Because there was no children in there. Yeah, there were a few women.
That's right.
Mostly men.
Men.
So let's get away from that crap that they're putting out there. And
and so this is what we mean. This will coincide with journalistic reporting. Do you know the true story of Richard Nixon and his presidency? The true behind the scenes story of what happened to Richard Nixon, President Nixon. We know the whole Watergate scandal.
Right.
Do you know the entire facts behind that?
Not all of them.
Okay. So I'm not going to go into it. I have a video, and I wasn't going to play it, but I'm going to play it here now. And this is from an Tucker Carlson show back when he was on Fox. I don't remember seeing this, and I remember hearing bits and pieces of this story. Obviously, we know the whole, but this is, and then Jim, I won't explain it to you, but when I share the video through our email to post up here, you can go watch it, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But taking a listen to this, and I'll tell you why I'm playing it when I come back.
Nixon, Richard Nixon. Yet somehow, without a single vote being cast by a single American voter, Richard Nixon was kicked out of office and replaced by the only unelected president in American history. So we went from the most popular president to a president nobody voted for. Wait a minute, you may ask. Why didn't I know that? Wasn't Richard Nixon a criminal? Wasn't he despised by all decent people? No, he wasn't. In fact, if any president could claim to be the people's choice, it was Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was reelected in 1972 by the largest margin of the popular vote ever recorded before or since. Nixon got 17 million more votes than his opponent. Less than 2 years later, he was gone. He was forced to resign. And in his place, an obedient servant of the federal agencies called Gerald Ford took over the White House. How did that happen? Well, it's a long story, but here are the highlights, and they tell you a lot. Richard Nixon believed that elements in the federal bureaucracy were working to undermine the American system of government and had been doing that for a long time. He often said that. He was absolutely right. On June 23, 1972, Nixon met with the then CIA director Richard Helms at the White House. During the conversation, which thankfully was tape recorded, Nixon suggested he knew, quote, who shot John, meaning President John F. Kennedy. Nixon further implied that the CIA was directly involved in Kennedy's assassination, which we now know it was. Helms's telling response? Total silence. But for Nixon, it didn't matter because it was already over. 4 days before, on June 19th, the Washington Post had published the first of many stories about a break-in at the Watergate office building. Unbeknownst to Nixon and unreported by the Washington Post, 4 of the 5 burglars worked for the CIA. The first of many dishonest Watergate stories was written by a 29-year-old Metro reporter called Bob Woodward. Who exactly was Bob Woodward? Well, he wasn't a journalist. Bob Woodward had no background whatsoever in the news business. Instead, Bob Woodward came directly from the classified areas of the federal government. Shortly before Watergate, Woodward was a naval officer at the Pentagon. He had a top-secret clearance. He worked regularly with the intel agencies. At times, Woodward was even detailed to the Nixon White House, where he interacted with Richard Nixon's top aides. Soon after leaving the Navy, for reasons that have never been clear, Woodward was hired by the most powerful news outlet in Washington and assigned the biggest story in the country. And just to make it crystal clear what was actually happening, Woodward's main source for his Watergate series was the deputy director of the FBI, Mark Felt. And Mark Felt ran, and we're not making this up, the FBI's COINTELPRO program, which was designed to secretly discredit political actors the federal agencies wanted to destroy, people like Richard Nixon. And at the same time, those same agencies were also working to take down Nixon's elected vice president, Spiro Agnew. In the fall of 1973, Agnew was indicted for tax evasion and forced to resign. His replacement was a colorless congressman from Grand Rapids called Gerald Ford. What was Ford's qualification for the job? Well, he had served on the Warren Commission, which absolved the CIA of responsibility for President Kennedy's murder. Nixon was strong-armed into accepting Gerald Ford by Democrats in Congress. Quote, "We gave Nixon no choice but Ford," Speaker of the House Carl Albert later boasted. 8 months later, Gerald Ford of the Warren Commission was the President of the United States. See how that works? So those are the facts, not speculation. All of that actually happened. None of it's secret. Most of it actually is on Wikipedia. But no mainstream news organization has ever told that story. It's so obvious, yet it's intentionally ignored. And as a result, permanent Washington remains in charge of our political system. Unelected lifers in the federal agencies make the biggest decisions in American government and crush anyone who tries to rein them in. And in the process, our democracy becomes a joke.
Well, when we come back, Jim, I made it all about me. I said when I come back. Jim's back too, by the way. So Jim's here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of America, Jim.
Half the time I'm surprised. Oh shit, that's right, Jim's here. Oh, oops.
That was exactly what just happened. Anyway, so that story depicts to me the length of time, the corruption in DC, and you know what happened before that because of what it says in this video. But the length of time this corrupt DC swamp has been established and moving forward. There were some interesting things in there that I didn't know. And I don't know how I ever missed that particular clip from Tucker Carlson, but at any rate,
it was, our age,
yeah.
Were we really interested in,
correct.
It wasn't important to us.
No, but to the clip that Tucker Carlson played, because I watched him religiously, that I don't know how I missed that, or I just didn't.
Oh, the one. I see.
Yeah. The video I just played from Tucker Carlson. Very interesting about Bob Woodward and about everything that happened and who Bob Woodward worked for, which you all just heard, but I'm trying not to ruin it for Jim till he hears it, but the whole story behind it. Anyways, so to believe to not believe the media, to me, Jim, seems pretty reasonable. To not believe our sources at FBI, we now know based on a lot of recent events.
When do we, as the American people, fight against the journalists who, in my opinion, are creating? Yeah, actually, you know what? That is a good word.
Yeah.
They are not sharing the correct story of everything that needs to be stated. They don't share the whole truth about the border. They don't share the whole truth about the illegals, the gotaways in here. They refuse to talk about the election. They refuse to talk about anything.
Yep.
And when are they going to be held accountable?
Propaganda.
When? I mean, this is incredible. They take this oath, this journalistic oath.
Yep.
And they break it,
which
when they
we
go
read
on
before
CNN,
a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. We read it on air.
Yeah.
And the integrity is gone. They don't care. It's their own agenda. And we see it in schools today.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it all over the place. The teacher had to barricade themselves because he just happened to be pro-Israel.
Yeah.
So
correct. He had to barricade himself in his classroom.
It's just incredible. These young kids are we always talk about how indoctrination. It's here, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we sit there and say we got to stop this indoctrination of our children. I'm sorry, it's here. Yeah. And it's here because just look at the kids that are graduating today. They can't read. They don't know math. They don't know how to apply for a job.
They have no purpose. Yeah. They're entitled.
They go to college and, whoa, I can't take 2 tests?
Wait a second.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then they become indoctrinated by these groups. You makes me wonder, it's like, geez, how did Charles Manson get a group of people to kill? Oh my God. I mean, it'd be super easy with these sponges today.
I mean,
they have no purpose.
They're telling Charles Manson and Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
I'm going to show you how to indoctrinate.
I'm going to show you how to indoctrinate the youth and all that. And we'll do it propaganda-wise through journalism and, so-called journalism and all. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. By the way, Jim, before I forget, I can't believe this. Happy anniversary to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast.
You're breaking up. Sorry.
Am I breaking up? Of course I am. Right when I'm about to give my anniversary wishes to you, Jim. Am I still breaking up? Because I'm here.
Yeah, you're kind of a little bit.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, I guess you can't, right? Am I back? Of course I'm back.
Like there, I can hear you right when you start talking, and then it just kind of breaks off.
And now it's still breaking off, Jim?
Yeah, but it's good for radio.
It is. It's good. It's good. It's professionalism. Thank you again to my cable provider and Wi-Fi service for the shit that I get every time on this show. Am I back, Jim? Tell me.
That's
yes.
Okay. It's just the journalism. I mean, it's disgusting what's going on. I mean,
so you missed everything I said then, Jim.
So
you missed everything.
I obviously did. So
yeah, obviously did. I was wishing you happy anniversary. It's our 2-year podcast anniversary.
Oh, well, happy anniversary to you too.
You didn't realize that? Like you had no idea?
Actually, yeah. Yeah,
you missed our anniversary.
I did, but it was a couple days ago, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I don't even know you
anymore. You didn't send it to me.
I know.
You didn't send it to me either.
You don't even care anymore. Yes, 2 years we've been on the air. It was a couple days ago. It was actually the 23rd, but I think that was Thanksgiving Day.
I was going to say. So. Yeah, kind of busy that day.
Yeah, kind of busy that day. I remembered. Anyways, Jim, happy anniversary to Two Guys,
Did you
One
send
Coup
anything
podcast.
To me?
I didn't say nothing to you. Was not going to text you happy anniversary. Sort of.
Just checking.
Did you send me anything?
Well, we call ourselves. No, because I no, but you're the one giving me a hard time about not remembering and saying that I don't care. And
Jim, I know you can't see me, but look at your camera. At least it makes it look like you can see me. Jim, let's get out of the show.
Well, I'm looking over here because my story.
I know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to do the same, boys. We're trying something new. Kids, on our screens. So maybe that was part of the problem. Before we go bore anybody else, like, follow, and share on Rumble. Stay tuned for Christie, Hutcherson, Women Fighting for America. Yes. We got a couple things we want to address, Jim. I'm going to go first because this applies, right? Matter of fact, probably almost everything we're talking about. Northern border. So
Yes, it
oddly
does.
enough,
Yep.
right? Sector sees 550% increase in migrant apprehensions last fiscal year. Now you heard that. Apprehensions, 550%. Not the ones they didn't apprehend and got away. It says one sector of the often overlooked northern border saw a 550% increase in migrant apprehensions last fiscal year. This is important because I think we first really heard about the northern border issue from Christie Hutcherson.
Yes, we did.
When she talked about, hey, the southern border, but there's a lot going on up there that is not good. So, anyways, Swanton Sector Chief Patrol Agent Robert Garcia said this week that agents have seen a 550% increase in apprehensions with 6,925 between October 2022 and the end of this September. So 10, 11 months, basically. Their fiscal year, 12-month fiscal year, 6,925. He also said the migrants were arriving from 79 different countries, with the top 5 countries from which migrants originated being Mexico, India, Venezuela, Haiti, and Romania.
Dracula.
The sector, which covers the borders of New York, New Hampshire, and Vermont with Canada, saw just over 1,000 Border Patrol apprehensions in all of 2022.
Can I ask you a question?
You ask away if you want.
You mentioned Mexico in that.
It's a long journey.
Did they walk through the United States
That's a
thinking it was
long-
Mexico?
They come up, they get on a boat, they go up to British Columbia, they get off, go all the way over to New York and New Hampshire.
Wow, they can just walk straight through.
They just didn't know when to stop. They're like,
I'm sorry,
crap, we're in Canada.
I just thought maybe Mexico just was, maybe they walked through the United States thinking it was Mexico.
Like, senor, I said you should have taken a right at Lake Erie. You know? Anyways,
I'm sorry.
No, that's funny though. Why Mexico there? So anyways, they said, where was I, Jim? Because you goofed up on me. Oh, 2022, they saw 1,000 Border Patrol apprehensions. In 2021, only 365. You seen a pattern here since President Biden took office? Anybody? I think we all are, but it's part of a broader surge in migration at the northern and southern borders, although the numbers at the southern border vastly eclipse those seen at the northern border. Of course.
Well, yeah.
Because if they're all, of course, that's where it's going to happen. In the north, there were 189,402 migrant encounters in 2023, but that's a sharp increase from the 27,000 in 2021. Oh, Jim. However, officials and lawmakers have noted that massive parts of the northern border, which is over 5,000 miles long and has only 115 ports of entry, are largely unstaffed compared to the southern border. Why is that? Garcia had called for volunteers earlier this year as his sector saw spikes, particularly Mexican migrants with no legal documents. So there you go, Jim. Mexican migrants at the northern border.
Mm-hmm.
How are they getting there, Jim?
Well, they're
coming in by ship.
Yeah. I mean, or
being
bust.
shipped up.
I'd still say there's, I don't know what's going on, man.
I don't either.
It's incredible.
I don't know.
This is insane.
But anyways, that's part of that situation. There's the northern border, and it can't be forgotten. And of course, we were reminded of that when a car mysteriously exploded into bazillion pieces, which happens daily. Yeah. What else do we got going on? Jim, what do you got there real quick?
Well, I thought this was funny. Funny, not funny. Okay. Yeah. Because, liberals, they're all for the underprivileged and the people who have struggled.
Of course.
Supposedly supposed to.
Yeah.
Be for them,
of course. Of course.
Well, reports say that residents of the New York City Housing Authority were told when to line up for their turkey dinner and fixings delivery. But when they arrived at the appointed time, they found hundreds of illegals already at the head of the line. How did they get the memo? Anyway,
how they get
Queensbridge housing resident Georgia Butler, for one, was disgusted after losing out to illegals at this year's food bank giveaway and noted that illegals were the first in line.
Unbelievable.
Well, there's some unbelievable stuff to this, but I'll go into it. There was first online for the turkeys this morning, Butler told the station. They tell you to be there at 11 o'clock. You get there at 10:30, 10:45, but they are already out there. The line is from over there, so they're describing how long the line is.
Yeah.
Why do we have to take the brunt of everything? Butler asked Fox 5. This community is already suffering. Many low-income residents rely on weekly mobile food banks, but they are increasingly finding it slim pickings after illegals run through the offerings. Now, this was a report on X, okay?
Yeah.
Black New Yorkers who are dependent on government handouts are upset at migrants for taking their government handouts.
Oh, I know.
See, now they kind of know how we feel. And it's not just black handouts.
No,
it's anybody who gets handouts.
Yeah, are mad that people are getting handouts.
Not be getting handouts.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So that's what I struck as funny.
They eat themselves eventually.
Well, because the X now, I read that from X. Okay,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Black residents are upset because their government handouts are being taken by somebody else.
As a free handout.
Thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Individuals from the tidal wave of illegals washing over the Big Apple have clashed with local lower income residents. The station noted that one argument even sent someone to the hospital.
Yeah.
The long-established food banks have never previously catered to large numbers of illegals and were created chiefly to serve low-income, natural-born citizens, which should be the case.
Yep, correct. Mm-hmm. But they're getting hotel rooms. They're getting. I mean, come on.
Our lower income families are completely ignored at this time
ignored
by the people who are supposed to be protecting them. But they hate us, who agree with them.
Yeah,
that the illegals shouldn't be here.
Yeah,
but we're conservative, so they don't like us.
So they don't like us, so they're going to vote Democrat.
I don't know what to tell you, folks.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But
I don't either. I'm telling you,
maybe the next time, maybe we pay more attention to elections. Just saying.
Saying. Maybe, Jim, maybe, just by some chance, there's an America First candidate that might run. Maybe.
Is there one?
Maybe there's somebody with a proven track record who cares about our country. Maybe somebody is out there like that.
And
never Trumpers out there.
And then adding to that.
Can't do it. Yes, Jim, add to it, please.
Illinois.
Oh, boy.
Sanctuary state. 7 migrants arrested over Thanksgiving holiday for robbing Hobby Lobby, Kohl's, and Macy's.
Oh, my God. They should have done it in San Francisco. They would have never been arrested.
I can't do it anymore.
I can't do it anymore either. Welcome them in, and then they...
You try to stay positive. I try. But you, I think, are more positive than me because I think it's done. I really honestly think there is, I want to have hope. I really do.
That way. Mm-hmm.
But I just, when I talk to people and they, with a straight face, tell me that abortion is the single most important thing that we have, and that is how they're going to vote every time.
Yep.
I don't know what to tell them.
And right behind abortion is what, Jim?
I respect you for having your standard. Okay, I respect, have your... But folks, for those of you said climate change. Agreed. Mm-hmm. Climate change and abortion, I get it, okay? But look at what the world and this country is going through right now. I just I'm just maybe we need to open our minds a little bit.
Maybe we need to do that. Just yeah, Jim. I agree. Who's going to open our minds? Jim, do you think?
Yeah.
I think Christie Hutcherson opens our minds a lot. If you're willing to listen,
she does.
If you're willing to listen,
that's the problem.
That's the problem. So that's why these episodes, folks, and these interviews, that's why we bring them to you. We wouldn't do it if we didn't think it was worthy of something. And our listeners do think that, and we appreciate all that. But it's also worthy of letting other people know about it too. So you got to share it. You got to get the word out, folks. Do your part. It's a little part you can do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. On the shows where it's just you and I, fine. If you don't want to share it, no big deal. But it's very important to us for you to share the interviews.
Yes.
Because a lot of these individuals are doing a lot of this stuff at their own financial struggles, guys.
Yes.
I mean, they're making these
for
stances,
all of you out there listening
hated.
And those that aren't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
so
Jim,
think about it with no, that's fine. With we're Women Fighting for America, where Christie is involved. You sit there and she'll talk about this, but $25 a month.
Yeah.
I want you to think about this for a minute.
Yep.
For those of you who go to Starbucks and spend $7 on a cup of coffee
a day,
okay, 4 times a month, stop doing that.
Yep.
And give money to people like
just every Friday, skip that coffee and give it to her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of good causes. Monday through Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. But we push a lot of causes. We do. We push, hey, True to Vote, give these folks, give, help support Freedom Ring Tees when you can, things like, there's all sorts of stuff we push and all that, and, books and all that. But we're not talking about thousands of dollars for any of this. You know what I mean?
I mean, for Christmas,
you're talking $25 a month.
For Christmas, you go out and buy a T-shirt at JCPenney or Macy's, you know. Why not? If you're going to buy a T-shirt, why not buy a T-shirt from Freedom Ring Tees? I mean,
exactly. Or why not support Women Fighting for America?
Right.
And how many more Christmases you think you're going to get if we don't have a country? How many more opportunities are you going to get? Or your children or your grandchildren? I mean, this is what you have to do. I mean, yes, am I more optimistic that I still think we can win the battle, and I know you do.
I hope so.
I don't think we're completely done yet, but damn, we're close. I mean, if we do nothing for another year, we're done. We're done.
The latest elections, which were no big deal, right? As far as the whole,
as far as the big
country,
spectrum of what happens in the world, yes.
But when you look at what happened in Virginia,
that's an indication.
I mean, folks, what happened in Virginia was because of the abortion.
Yep.
That's what happened. Everybody expected Virginia to get the Republicans in the House, to get the Republicans in the Senate. And they were going to, but that one thing, and it's not even. And again, it's like you and I talked about. Most of the people believe that there should be a limit to when you can have abortion. All right.
Yes.
And where Republicans struggle are the ones who say no abortions at all.
Yeah.
Even for the mom's life. Look, I don't think it should be used as a form of birth control. I don't think it should be.
But to save your wife or spouse, or in the event, God forbid, your daughter or something gets raped by some who knows what. I mean, sorry, folks. I mean, I understand it's not the child's fault, and I get that. And that's not everybody's stance, and I also get that. I also get a life is a life. I 100% get that. But there are some extenuating circumstances, in our opinion, that would lead to, hey, I think this is probably the right choice, or something like that.
Just and I'm not saying,
and you got to be open to that a little,
because I know Sean Hannity got ripped a lot because he's backing up on his convictions and everything else. No. We make adjustments all the time with what we see. So if the majority of these Americans,
pick your battle time, folks.
If the majority of Americans are going to decide that abortion is more important than children being sold, more important than fentanyl killing our children, and killing us, okay, or more than us freaking terrorists getting into this country, or going to a grocery store and where you used to be able to fill your cart, now you can't even fill the bottom for the cost, of inflation and everything else that's going on. Maybe
then you got to give a little.
There has to be, because
then fight the battle at a later date.
Those single-minded people are deciding what happens in this country.
They are.
I mean,
they are
because we are allowing them to say what we are. They are. We allow the media to say, because that's what everybody I talk to, instantly. Yeah. Well, inherently Republicans are racist.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? That? Who says that? We're not.
Yeah.
It's the media tells them that.
Correct. And we're allowing it. And you're right. You're right. Jim, let's get to this interview. That's what people are here for. Yeah. Listen to this, folks. It's Christie Hutcherson. You've heard her before. If you have not, please go back and listen to her episodes and all of our interviews. But this one coincides with last Tuesday's episode with JJ Carroll and our interview with him. Listen to that and what she has to say, and Jim and I will be back to wrap this up. Well, everybody, we have back with us today Christie Hutcherson, the president and founder of Women Fighting for America. We had asked Christie to come on after we had heard the breaking news the day before Thanksgiving on what was potentially a terrorist attack at the Canadian-U.S. border on the Rainbow Bridge with the car exploding. Of course, a different story is coming out now, and there's questions that we have, and there's reasons that, we obviously can speculate that it's still a terrorist attack and that other terrorist attacks will happen. Christie, thank you for coming on. It was short notice again, and you're always so gracious to accommodate us, and we really appreciate it. So welcome. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, but let's get into this real quick. When that story broke, honestly, there was two people I thought of immediately, and it was yourself and then Southern Border Patrol agent named JJ Carroll that we recently, because we are talking about the potential for all of these terrorist attacks with the wide open porous borders we have. And I thought, I got to get some information from these two. They know more than anybody I know that can tell us maybe what's going on. You both have very, very similar thoughts on this process and what happened there. So let's get right into it. Tell me your thoughts when you first heard it and maybe what we've learned since then. There's a reason why I still think it was, and it's going to happen, whether they say this one was or not.
Well, thank you, Dale. Thank you, Jim, first and foremost, for having me on. And,
our pleasure.
Interestingly enough, when you look at what happened on the northern border, there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, more so now than ever. I'm always, and this is coming from a lens of somebody who's worked for over 20 plus years in the DC swamp, directly with the DoD space from the private sector. And when they're typically within law enforcement, border patrol, federal agents, the first instinct, that first gut instinct and what they've seen on the ground, physical evidence, right? Physical evidence with our own eyes and how something took place. Their first reaction was that this was a terrorist attack. And one of the reasons probably why that was is because of the way that the car exploded. And so if you look at historical data, right, film footage that we've ever had of car crashes, et cetera, where there was some type of explosion that took place, you can visually see the difference between what took place from a normal car crash that would explode versus what happened at the northern border. You also can look at historical data and photographs of evidence from cars that have actually had explosives in them, and then an impact happened and how they exploded. And so the initial gut from the law enforcement and those individuals, the Border Patrol agents on the ground, was that this was a terrorist attack. Typically, that gut instinct is spot on. It's usually correct, right? And so the narrative that was pushed out immediately, of course, before I call it the little corrupt minions get their little hands on it to spin a story or a narrative. That was the case, and that was what was put out on the media. But they were still very cautious with their words and how they did it. And so then within, I think it was less than 24 hours, 48 hours, that the new messaging was, it was just, a car that got away, a couple, 53 in their, I think they were 53 years old,
Right.
Came through the border, crashed. And you can clearly see, one car did, by the way, get through. It kind of went around the smoke and the way that the car moved after it exploded in the debris field. So I'm going to be very cautious because I think that we have to gather all of the evidence before we complete a analysis of what we really think would happen. But I can tell you right now, from my personal expert opinion, and also that Border Patrol agent who you interviewed, both of us are on the same page. Something stinks to high heaven. Something is not adding up. Was it a terrorist attack? Was it not a terrorist attack? We are going to look further into this because I'm on the mindset something's fishy, something doesn't sit right, and there was something nefarious, 100%, I believe, happened on that border.
Agreed.
And what I take from it is what worries me is, was this a dry run? Was this a run where they were seeing how easy they could get, and then maybe they panicked? I don't know. We can all speculate here because that's usually what has to happen. But because let's face it, we're not going to get the answers from this administration. They're just not going to give it to us. But is it possible that this was a dry run, a practice to see if this was a good, border patrol to come through, or are they going to be watching?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. But I haven't been able to actually see the photographs of the individuals who lost their life, but I've looked at their name and I researched who they are. And if that is really in fact who was in that car, they typically don't fit like the profile, right? However, individuals are targeted and used for activity. And so just because they decided to release their middle-aged, upper class family from New Jersey does not mean that something nefarious didn't take place. Because like I said, terrorist organizations target individuals to do some of their dirty work or plant. There's a lot of things that go involved in this that I'm not going to get into. So, the question is this, but they will test our systems. They've been testing our systems, by the way. Our power grids have been tested for the last several years under the Biden administration numerous times. Cyber attacks have been happening on our critical infrastructure. The terrorist and rogue nations, like the Chinese Communist Party, North Korea and Iran, make no mistake, and Russia have been actively testing all of our systems, America. This is not new. And they've been covered up by lies out of this administration and not telling the American people the truth. For example, I'll even give you an example of another terrorist. We've had over 258 thwarted attacks last year alone. Terrorist attacks. Think about that.
Wow.
Thwarted last year on our soil, America. You haven't heard about that. Why?
Nope.
Because this administration is liars. They're clandestine. They don't want the American people to know the real truth. In Newport Beach, California, for example, a year and a half ago, last summer, there was a drill for a dirty bomb, a nuclear dirty bomb in the shipping ports. That was not a drill, America. That was an actual active terrorist attempt with a small nuclear device. Why?
Wow.
Because under this administration, our FBI and all of our agents are weaker. They are not stronger. And we also have infiltrators at the highest levels of these organizations who are corrupt and who are, quite frankly, I believe, in my professional opinion, you don't need to take my word for it. Watch their actions, not their words of what they've done. They are aiding and abetting terrorist organizations and rogue nations who hate America. Biden's administration secretly is giving billions of dollars again to Iran. This is going and taking place currently right now. Money is sitting in a Qatari bank account that Iran has access to. And if you watched I loved Matt Gaetz the other day. He was on the Hill and he was drilling a brave individual. I can't remember her name right now, and I'll get it to you guys later. But
Okay.
she was talking about this very thing, about the IMF and the Banking Institute and the money sitting in Qatar. And so, and how this administration is actively giving the Palestinians, Gaza, which basically is the Iranian regime, your taxpayer dollars to what? Fund terrorism on our soil, period. This is a fact, America. And so we also have an active uh, uh, politicians on our soil who talk a good game, but there's zero actions behind anything there's no substance. We have enough information to not only bring up impeachment charges for Mayorkas, Biden administration, and others. We actually have enough evidence, I believe, to bring treason charges against this administration. The border is the one example of pure treason right there that we could bring up. And it's high treason, by the way, high treason. I want your listeners to start looking up definitions. You need to understand what language is, what definitions are, and what lawfare actually is, because we need to use lawfare to take back our constitutional republic. And we can do it legally. But if the American people decides to continue to keep their head buried in the sand and be ignorant, then our country will fall, because this administration and others have one goal and one goal in mind, and that is to collapse the United States of America from within. And it's happening right now and will happen prior to the 2024 election.
Wow. I have no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt about that. And there's reasons. When the going back to the Niagara Falls incident, when it happened, my initial thought was, yeah, absolutely, it's terrorism, right? Because of you, Christie, honestly, my thought was, you've talked about the northern border much more than anybody else we've ever talked to. And do you ever hear about, until all of a sudden that happens. And then there's this report that comes out and says northern border sector sees 550% increase in migrant apprehensions, not the getaways, the apprehensions last fiscal year. I'm like, oh, so now we're going to talk about it. It's just bizarre to me. I'm 100% in agreement with you with Mayorkas. Well, we both are. And then you led to some of the information about some of the other politicians that really aren't on board with, protecting America. And that goes both sides. I mean, there's Republicans, there's Democrats.
There's no Republican and Democrats in it.
Correct.
This is a party who's in control. Correct. I'm not saying, Dale, that there aren't some good Republicans. There's not very many. I will be very, very honest. I probably can count on less than two hands how many true patriots there are in office. But we have a uniparty. There is no Republican and Democrat. And when the American people wrap their head around that, we will be a much better nation for it.
And that's that they proved that point when they voted to not impeach Mayorkas, right? Or move ahead with impeachment proceedings on Mayorkas. There were Republicans that didn't even show up to vote on that. And so this goes so deep. It's the deeper it goes, well, the more sleep we lose, thinking about it, and the more worrisome it becomes for everybody. This is just craziness. Let's
start a write-in movement.
Yeah.
You want to stop the corruption at the ballots? You know what? They can't stop write-in candidates, because you have to physically show up and you have to physically write on a ballot, and they have to by law count that. So why don't we start a write-in ballot? If your candidate is Donald J. Trump, because we need to get behind one person. This splitting and nonsense, we can't do it. This election, if it takes place, and I'm on the mindset that honestly, I believe there's going to be martial law and chaos and civic unrest and some other things that are going to happen.
Agreed.
But if that scenario doesn't happen, and we move forward with a 2024 election, I would like to start a campaign to do a write-in campaign. Let's write in Donald J. Trump, right? Whether you like him or not, as a human, his personality, I don't give a damn. I'm going to be honest with you. We need to look at, because I've looked at the candidates, I've looked at all of them, and I've looked at them closely, not just what they're saying right now. You know, I have a lens that I like to delve deep into. I look at people's past. I go way into people's past. I look at papers that they've written. I look at what they've done, right? Donald Trump might not be the perfect candidate, but he has a 4-year track record of keeping our enemies at bay, keeping our economy thriving, putting America first values and America first businesses ahead, and also stopping the freight train of the globalist agenda. And because we have a track record with this human, with this person, right? We need to get behind this man for 4 years at least to turn the tide, because they wouldn't be attacking him or myself or others in this movement so venomously if they weren't afraid, because that's fear. When you attack, it's because it's fear of what we're exposing and doing. So America, why don't we start a Donald J. Trump write-in campaign, regardless if he's on the ballot or not? Great. Double dip. Search the little thing and then write
his name in.
Be the change agent that we need to have for this nation.
And I agree with it. Jim, sorry, go on.
No, let's go. The funny thing is Dale and I talk about this all the time. If President Trump is on the ballot, there will be no election in 2024. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's going to be something that happens, whether it's a terrorist attack or the government has this is a threat or something. But if he's not on the ballot, I do believe there will be an election. Now, whether it'll be fair or not is completely up in arms on that one. But so I completely agree that we're leaning towards that, because, we just get this talking to you and talking to others who are in the professional. This is not just us.
Yeah, this is
grabbing information, like a lot of people are. We listen to who the experts are. We're not. Okay. We're getting better, but we're not experts. We're not there. So my question is, from this incident that happened, okay, and we know they're here, okay, when do we expect, I expect close to the election again, like I said, but because you gotta think something's going to happen. There has to be something out there. There's like you told us about these practice runs, these, do you have, and I'm not, and I don't want to put you on the spot here. Do you have an idea when something may happen?
I'm not a genie as far as the timeline is concerned. We can look at certain information and we can make an educated guess as best to the ability that I can. I hate putting timelines on stuff. What I can tell everybody is that they need to be prepared for. And so I just got back from another border mission. I was there at the border for 2 weeks, and I drove from Arizona to Texas again. And I met with numerous law enforcement. I rode along with law enforcement officers, and I met with Border Patrol agents and U.S. Marshals and deputies and different things like that. And so one of the most interesting conversations I had is the sheriffs and the deputy sheriffs. They have conferences and trainings throughout the year. And I really hone in and pay very close attention to what is coming out of their conferences and their training. One of the things that was really interesting, which goes along with the narrative that I've been talking about with soft targets with these terrorists, the sheriffs have been specifically training on scenarios of mass elementary school shootings and killings. And because that's the one way that the terrorists and the globalist and this administration can utilize for two things. It evokes a lot of anger, hate, and emotions towards gun owners, because they have to take the guns out of the hands of the American people to really, truly finalize that last nail in the coffin. And so there's millions of terrorists here. I think when we looked at the numbers of what has come over the border in the last 3.5 years under this regime, we've estimated somewhere between 3.5 million gotaways. And I want you to wrap your number, because what they're telling you is lies. 3.5 million gotaways. What is a gotaway? Somebody, we have no idea who they are. We don't know where they're from, what country they're from, what they brought in, where they're embedded, or what their intentions are. And we're clueless, right? That's dangerous. And so when you have sheriffs across this country doing multi-city unilateral training on mass elementary school shootings because they're going to go after the children. So imagine a scenario where you've got 6 to 8 different strategic locations where the terrorists are going to go into simultaneously and kill a whole bunch of young children, right?
Yep.
And they're going to do it in schools that don't have armed guards and that don't have security. That is what they're aiming for. And typically, unfortunately, those will be in a lot of the blue states or rural communities where they can't afford that in their budget. And I believe that it's going to be a combination of the two because they want to make sure that you understand and the parents and the community knows that you're not safe, whether you're in the city or whether you're in the farmland.
Yeah,
that is
good point.
They're going to instill that fear. Two, what will happen? Right after those events, and unfortunately, all these children are killed. There's going to be mass hysteria. Parents are going to pull their children out of the school and keep them home. They're going to call into work sick. They're not going to be able to do it. You're going to kind of see a COVID scenario where our economy starts crippling again. Why? And we are so vulnerable right now financially because we're so in debt. We already, it's difficult, right? Inflation as and all of those things that we know, right? Supply chain, blah, blah, blah. Now, equal that with a mass casualty event. Everybody's not going to work because they're keeping their children home because now they're scared to death. What is that going to do to the United States of America? Again, we are going to be the most vulnerable we've ever been. And that, I believe personally, this is the scenario I think that's going to activate. And then, of course, you're going to have the government, the savior, come in and say, okay, we have to have sweeping legislation because we can't have our children's mass killed. So we're going to completely subvert the Second Amendment. And make no mistake, they will under that. And martial law will be activated because President Biden can have unprecedented orders. And when he declares martial law, there's also some things and treaties and agreements that he's made with who? The United Nations and who? He can call in the United Nations and NATO forces to activate, which are already here, by the way. They're already embedded here in different places throughout the United States. I believe that that's a real scenario. That's one possible, plausible scenario.
Agreed with that. Can you explain to me, because I'm not that in tune with the whole martial law situation. I understand it. I understand what can be enacted. Is martial law something that is just declared by one individual? Is it voted on? Do you know? I'm sorry if I'm ignorant in this, but that's, I don't know if you know or not, but is that something that Congress has to vote on to enact martial law? Is it almost like declaring war where there's a vote or what have you? Do you know that?
So, do you remember a couple months ago where Biden was asked to have and renew the war powers of the president of the States?
Yes. Okay. So that's that.
That's that.
Okay.
And then also the governors of every state also can have martial law within the states as well. And under wartime scenarios or disaster, those types of things, they can evoke the martial law or their quote unquote war powers during that time. But we these orders, unfortunately, because we have a rogue Congress and a rogue Senate who is not upholding the Constitution, and they are not serving the people of the United States. You know, I'm reminded, as citizens of the United States, when the politicians said we needed to lock down for 2 weeks because of COVID and give up your safety and your security, they complied and they gave up their freedom. When the politicians said we need to continue that order, they complied and gave up their freedom. When the politicians have said you need to get the jab because of XYZ or you're not being a good steward, most of the people gave up their freedom and their rights. I don't believe we have an American populace who have the will or the backbone to stand up and stop giving up their freedoms and their rights. And this is very dangerous ground. Again, they are coming after your guns. They are coming after your children. And they are coming after the country. This is a fact. This isn't conspiracy theory. You can follow the trail from the FBI to the CIA to the Senate to the judicial branch to the executive branch. you can see how they've eroded and circumvented the Constitution decade after decade. And the American people, under compliance, have gone along with it and allowed our freedoms and our republic to die. What is it going to take? That's my question to the American people.
Correct.
What exactly, where's the breaking point for you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it the door knocked with the communist pulling you out? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. And everybody's going to have their own idea of when that breaking point is. But unless it's now, it was before now. But as each day goes by, it's got to be now or never in order to save our republic. It's got to be.
The problem, Christie, is you said it very, very well, and again, your expertise. I have a question following this statement. We have people who actually believe their liberties and their freedom was not taken from them during this, that this was needed to be done. And it's because, I'm sorry, Dale and I will mention this every time, our journalists need to go to jail. Because they are doing the United States of America a disservice because they are not telling the truth. They're not telling everybody what is going on. So my question is this, because Dale and I have been trying to ask ourselves this since day one. How do we convince the people who don't think this is happening? How do we convince them that it's happening? I talk to people all the time and I give them all of these, go look, they give us facts is telling us that we're racist, we're bigots, and we're all this stuff. They don't tell us that we're wrong. They just say that we're all this. But the question is how do we do that? Because we're trying to find out, how do we reach out to the people who don't think this is going to happen, who think that this is all conspiracy theory, even though it's falling around all around them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Before I go into an engagement with somebody who has unfortunately been blinded, I'm going to go back to a biblical, God is very clear. There's going to be many, many who have scales over their eyes and their ears. Unfortunately, I have a family member who is just that person. And no matter how many times I show her evidence and talk to her and have an open dialogue, but there's little doorways of hope each time. But first and foremost, before you engage in any conversation, I would really ask God and the Holy Spirit to ordain you, to please come over you specifically. He knows the heart and soul of the individual or individuals that you're getting ready to talk to. And so I would really ask the Holy Spirit to be completely present and your tongue be of God's tongue. And then I would ask them questions. I never give my opinion. I never go into a conversation with somebody who sees things from a different lens, who've, been conditioned. Because you have to understand the mind is a very powerful thing. And we have to look at this. This isn't a heart. This is a mind manipulation issue. And so I have to ask them, I really want to hear from them first and foremost. What is your ideology? Where did you get this from? Where are you getting your information from? Tell me everything. You try to convince me, right? Your point of view first and foremost. Because what that does, that gives me a complete holistic picture of this person's mindset, and it also will reveal their heart set. Once I have that information, then I can, through God and his word and wisdom, approach them in a way where I hope that I can start planting the seeds. I'm never going to change that person's mind immediately unless it is by God Almighty, his hand.
Correct.
But we can open up a doorway, right? And start planting little seeds and a little bit at a time, because one of the things I found, all of this information is so overwhelming. People cannot wrap their head. They'll cut it off because the brain is a protective device as well. And so we have to understand that. So that maybe is the best advice that I can give.
That's great advice.
And
that's
do
absolutely
it,
perfect
and do
advice.
it with, and try and do it
Excuse me.
calmly, because that's one of the things that, because a lot of times when we get passionate about, and then somebody's complete idiot, our first instinct is to A, call them a complete idiot, and B, raise our voice, and then you lost.
then
you lost. You lost.
Well,
and
the best part about that advice is if people love talking about themselves, people love hearing themselves. They love everyone's got a story, right? So asking them initially, all of those questions and gathering that information, it could go on for a long time. I mean, they will just talk and talk and talk, and that's just more ammunition, to use to combat, their ideology. But you're right. It's always, you want to sit there and call names. They want to do that. You want to argue, you want to raise your voice, like Jim said, but you don't change people's minds that way. You need to persuade people, and there's a way to do it.
You think about somebody who interrogates, right? They're very good at it. And you can, what's really funny, you could be sitting here, you could be sitting at a bar, right? And an individual comes up and sits down next to you. And they start asking you a whole lot of open-ended questions. And it's always directed back towards you, more information about you. And they're making you feel comfortable. They're making you feel relaxed while they're extracting data and information from you.
Yes.
In the world of interrogation, that works really well because they become your friend, and you're never going to change somebody's mind until you can sit with them and you can see things from their shoes. And so that's really important to do. We're getting ready to embark on an incredible project to empower America. I love all of the conferences and things that I go to with all of the wonderful speakers who have, a heart for this nation and who sacrifice, but there's no real action and training that's happening. And so, we are not the globalist elites. We are not the communist Marxists, and we can recover this nation. And there is still hope and time as long as we have breath in our body. We are not insurrectionist. I don't believe in creating the militia that the left would like us to think that we're doing. But education is very important, and being prepared, disaster preparedness is key and critical for survival. Understanding our constitutional values and our principles is very key and critical. Understanding lawfare from a grassroots level, because lawfare is being utilized right now constantly look at the parents. That's lawfare. They're utilizing lawfare to call you a terrorist, somebody who shows up to a school board meeting and then being arrested simply for reading the material that they're allowing in the schools.
Correct.
This is insane. That's lawfare. So election security, understanding we have a right to secure our elections as the people. All of these things are under this constitutional values, tactical civics. So me and some of my dear friends are going to be doing training all over this country. We're doing 12 of them right now, and we're going to go to strategic states, and we're going to simply train you on how to be good stewards and defenders of your community and to protect your family and be that voice for your community. And if you want more information about that, you can go to our website. We're creating the landing page. Everything will be up and running by Thursday this week.
Nice.
We will have the tickets for sale. It's going to be an incredible day of just patriots coming together and learning how to be in community once again with each other, because we're lacking that, right?
Yeah.
So much divisiveness, and we need to be together, and we need to have an understanding of how we can become the solution, not just clanging bells. I call it dung beetle conversations.
Yes.
So if your listeners are interested in that, be patient. Go back this week. Go to my website, Women Fighting for America, WFFA.win, and we will have a landing page. We will have connections to that landing page where you can get the information you need to learn how to be part of the solution.
Please do that, because it looks amazing. We talked about it briefly before we got on air. They'll be all over the country. It'll be somewhere near you if you're listening, near enough to go for a day, because it's literally a day. It's just one full day of kind of intense training, basically, on what you can do to protect yourself, your family, protect the nation. Absolutely go there. I wish we could have you on all the time because you're just so full of information, and there's things you talk about that do make us think, and they make us realize what's going on in this nation. But your positivity about it as well, too, that it can be changed and it can be corrected. I pray to God there's an election. I pray to God that Donald J. Trump is on that, because I don't see anybody else. And before we go, I wanted to ask your opinion on it. Is there anybody else besides him that you think that's running currently that could put America first in a way only he can, if you ask me, in my opinion?
No,
because I don't.
No. And the reason why, and it's, I'm going to say no. And you have to understand, politics is about power and money.
Yeah.
And how do you catapult to a position, whether you're a governor or, you've been a governor or a businessman, all of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have powers to be behind you who are paying for your campaign, because it's millions and millions of dollars to run for the president of the United States.
Yes.
These big corporations, AKA these PACs, all these PACs, which by the way, also take foreign money into these PACs. I believe that we should have full disclosure of every single dime and where it's coming from and who's giving it. And I don't believe that PAC should even be able to take foreign money and entities. So whether you're a Governor DeSantis or a Christie or a Nikki Haley or whoever, all of these individuals are taking foreign money. They are taking money from PACs, corporations, lobbyists, which they will 100% be controlled by. They will be indebted to them. This is how this works, America.
Yes.
This is why our systems are so unfortunate.
They don't give money to a candidate if they don't expect something in return.
In return, correct.
What makes President Trump different? And I'm not telling people who I'm voting for and who I'm not voting for and behind, because I just don't. I typically don't endorse candidates for numerous reasons. But I love my country and I love my nation, and there's only one person who's not taking blood money.
Yeah.
Corruption money, who still fights. And when you look at somebody who they're attacking, and it's not just the enemy who's attacking, America, I want you to start thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
If you have somebody who's being constantly vilified and attacked, there's a reason why that is. And again, it goes back to the enemy is fearful of that person, of what they're going to do or bring that will harm them. And so I would get behind a person, honestly, who the media, the secular media and the left, and by the way, the Republican Party is and has attacked because these guys are corrupt. So I would be getting behind individuals who are actually being attacked, because those are the people typically who are being selfless, who are sacrificing, and not to put myself up there. I look at me, for example, it's incredible, the attacks. I had, who is it? The Southern Poverty Law.
Oh boy.
We know them.
Incredible articles about me. And I was like, I didn't even know I was on their radar.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You achieved it. Good for you. Yeah.
Because outside of the Ku Klux Klan and the white supremacists, outside of them, everyone else that we know that's on there,
pretty much doesn't belong on there.
Yeah, I'm a Russian Jew, but I'm a white supremacist.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think about, I was on Shadowlands. I'm a Netflix star. Did you guys know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I, out of the goodness of my heart, because again, I believe in keeping my enemies close to me.
Yes.
I took The Atlantic, the journalist from The Atlantic, which is a left-wing garbage propaganda machine.
Yeah.
And she tried to paint me as a lunatic, crazy person, conspiracy with QAnon, all of this crap, which I've never even followed QAnon. I think he's whatever. And so Shadowlands, the producers of Shadowlands, Radical Media, I took them to the border. This was literally the first 3 months into the Biden administration, all of this stuff that I was showing them at the border.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen Shadowlands, I think I'm on
haven't.
episode 1 and 4 or something like that. And so when you're being attacked, it's because you're actually typically spewing truth. and facts.
Exactly.
And it frightens them because it doesn't fall into their agenda or narrative. So I want everybody to really think about this. Stop voting with what people are telling you to do.
Yeah.
And that means secular media. And I don't care if it's Fox, I don't care if it's CNN. I don't give a crap where you're getting your news information from, or these politicians and all these people are trying to tell you what you should think and what you shouldn't think, because at the end of the day, they all are corrupt. Look at Fox News, for example.
Yeah.
Fox gave in to Dominion and settled.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And they've also put gag orders on a lot of, like Tucker Carlson, who they got rid of, right? Anybody who is standing in the way of real truth and facts, they're going to get rid of. And so if you think that the Murdochs, okay, the son, he is a good guy. He's a globalist.
He is.
He's part of the World Economic Forum. His son's bread and stuff. This is all to corrupt the minds of the conservatives to think you have a conservative outlook like Fox News. And they'll sprinkle in like these colorful little sprinkles on top of a sundae, a little bit of sweetness, just to keep you hooked to think that you are actually being fed conservative truth. It's not. This is all part of a machine. This is in a playbook. In Zelensky's playbook, Rules for Radicals and other Marxist playbooks. And so we have to understand, when you start seeing things that are too good to be true, they typically are. So you need to start thinking for yourself. The more people are being attacked, and you know that they have done, and you've got actionable items from what they've actually done, not what they've said, but what they've done, like Donald J. Trump, like Women Fighting for America.
Correct.
You can take it to the bank. That these people, these organizations are fighting for you, and these other people who are fighting against them are the evil ones that you should be pushing back and fighting against.
Yep. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Christie, thank you so much again. Everyone, please listen. Go to WFFA.win. That's where you can learn about all that's going on Women Fighting for America. You can help, you can donate, you can join, you can, she'll have the classes that are coming up on there, please. And I know if you can, I mean, the price for the person to go to a full day class to learn this is going to be very, very inexpensive.
$299. Typically, I'm telling you,
cable bill
training would be $1,000 for the experts that are coming. We are not making money off of this. We're not grifters. We want our country. We want to train you and equip you with the Constitution and the values that you need to protect your loved ones, right? To be prepared for disasters, to be prepared for lawfare and things that you need in the community, peacefully, lovingly, lawfully. That's what this is about. You're going to have speakers like Tom Renz, okay? And if you don't know who he is, please search Tom Renz. Tom Renz, an incredible attorney. You've got Ann Vandersteel, who is going to be talking about our tactical civics. You've got myself, and you've got security experts at the highest of the highest levels coming to take our time out of our life to come and train you, to develop you, to teach you how to be active participants in your community, to be good stewards with what God has entrusted us.
Yep. Perfectly said. Yep. Christie, thank you again. We appreciate everything you do. God bless you, your organization. God bless this country. We need it. So folks, go out there, support her, support the organization, do your part, and do it now. Do it now, because it's getting too late, and we can't have that. So thank you. Can't wait to have you back on. I know we will. We appreciate your expertise, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, Christie, again, thank you for coming on. As always, you are spot on. Your assessments, your approach, very gracious, very good friend to us and to our show. And we want to help her, folks. We need to help her out. I think we've told the story of what she sacrificed, but people I don't think know as much as we know. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot she's given up. A lot she's given up. Everything she's given up.
Yes.
To fight and to for what? To save our country. It's simple. It's a simple concept. It's very simple. And that's the $25 Jim was talking about before the interview.
Real simple. Just
real simple. Go to WFFA.win. support her. She's got those classes coming up. As she said, by Thursday, they should be up there, at least the beginning of where they're going to be located at. That will help. With $25 a month. I mean, are you kidding me? I think damn near 90% of our listeners, maybe 95, maybe 99, I don't know, can afford $25 a month somewhere, right?
Yep.
From somewhere, to give to her cause. And you need to do it. You need to do it.
She's fighting a fight that some of us aren't doing.
Oh my gosh.
You know, we're having her on the show. We're talking about it. We're trying to talk to people. We're trying to push all this stuff that we do. That's, could we do more? Yeah, we all can.
Well, we all can. I mean, I guess we could all quit our jobs and we can do what she did. We can't. We're not.
Right.
There's a lot of us that aren't made up to do that.
But we need to help people who do.
Got the calling and then does it, right? And we know people that have done this. You look at Mark and Amber, Archer. The filmmakers, you look what they've sacrificed. You look at, my God, just look at what everybody said. Look what Catherine Engelbert from True to Vote has sacrificed.
And still fighting.
She's
not one of these people that are taking a plea. They're not.
So, we're not bullcrapping you people out here. Yeah. These are real people. Go investigate them. Go look at them. Go look at their backgrounds. Yeah. They're not sitting there blowing smoke up your rear ends. They're fighting the fight for you and your liberal family members, because every family's got one or two or many. And, it's for all Americans.
And let's look at the money that's given to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Black Lives Matter, to all of these liberal fund, and you don't know where the money's going. And
or where it's coming from a lot of times.
It's basically none of your business where it's going.
None of your business. Yep.
But I can tell you where it's going when you give it to Christie.
Yep, that's right. It's all your business.
There's nothing hidden. She's not buying mansions.
Nope.
Okay,
she's not.
She's not paying friends money out of there for security.
Yep, correct.
Okay, and it's just sad.
It's sad. It's sad. It's sad where the money goes. Man, it's sad even in our daily lives. It's sad when I sit there and I look at my cable bills, $300 a month. I'm like, what the? I like watch 4 channels. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's this?
And you have the streaming network too.
And then I get Netflix. And then you get all the other ones that are what? About the cost of what she's asking for per month from each one of us listening. And this is why it's important. Share this episode, share her interview, and hold people accountable. Say, hey, what are you doing? Give $25 a month. Pledge $25 a month.
And a lot of you that are listening,
nothing.
Get your friend, follow us on Facebook. You get the links that Dale puts out there. All you have to do is hit share. That's it.
That's all you have to do. That's the simplest.
Now,
part.
for those, we do have a lot lot of them that do. And we thank you very much
we thank them.
And
for
we
sure.
appreciate that. But
of course.
Everybody did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just keep this going. Then stories like Christie's gets out there.
Yep, that's right.
Like JJ's, Carol's, they get out there. Wayne Black, all of the people that we interview who are important. We don't interview these individuals. Everybody we choose to individual isn't somebody we pull out of a hat. It's like, oh my God, this is a topic we're discussing right now. So this is important. This is important because it's all important, folks, because we can all think we're experts.
We are not.
And we can go to the journalists who try to think that these are individuals that actually live with it. They're experts. Correct. They are experts.
They are experts, and they've sacrificed everything for you and me and everybody else out there. And so the least you can do is help them out. Yep. So, and I will push this forever and ever until they get what they need to save our country. Right. And it's just that important. So,
and I want to add one quick thing, because you mentioned Mark and Amber. We'll finish things up. But folks, those of you who live in the Fort Wayne area, okay, you're gonna hear this tomorrow, and we'll have another show that is Thursday, and we'll talk about it. They please go look it up, because they will be doing their movie Dysphoria. Okay, Dysphoria is going to be filmed December 1st in Fort Wayne.
Yep.
And it's going to be at the Concordia Seminary for those of you who live in the area.
Yeah, that's fine.
Also look up at Fearless
right now.
Look up on Fearless Features. Okay, go to their website, look up
dysphoriamovie.com.
Please go. Please go to this movie, and especially if you have people out there like one of our favorite teachers that we met in Florida, who say this isn't going on, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
Try and talk them into coming, and let them come with an open mind.
Yep.
And see if they leave with the same idea.
Exactly.
Okay. And but it's very important. So, and I can't stress enough. I am bringing a group of people.
Yep.
And I would love to bring more. And
I'd love to be up there.
I would love to
too.
fill that.
I would love to fill.
I would love to fill the theater. So please just for and we'll mention again Thursday, but just just show up. Just pay. You can pay at the door. You can pay ahead of time. But if you wait, just pay at the door and they're sold out, you won't be able to get in.
You won't. Yep.
But so yeah, just please, just these people who risk everything, who put everything out there because they're trying to protect, like Dale said, us. And it's not just us, our children, our grandchildren, and then Christie trying to protect all of us, everybody in general,
even the liberals.
Yes,
folks.
Yeah,
and they don't even appreciate it or know it.
So God bless all of them.
Yep.
They're God-fearing, God-loving people, and God sent them a message, and
they did.
Answered.
And look at the work they're doing.
Yeah.
So tell me, you try to tell me that God isn't real or He doesn't work through people. You try to tell me that.
Yeah, and sit there and say, whenever you see somebody praying, prayer doesn't work. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, come on. Okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, it's the
sad evil.
You feel that way,
it's the evil that the left throw out there. Is the reason why people say prayer doesn't work. Yep,
that's right. That's right. Because they tell you it doesn't work.
Yep.
That's right. They tell you it's a godless society and a godless country, and that, Christianity wasn't a large portion of why this country started. And they tell you to keep, church out of the education system. Nope, wasn't intended for that. So research that, maybe do a little bit of work.
Please understand, separation of church and state, that's not what it means.
This has nothing to do with that. But of course, that's what the media tells you it does. So just people are ignorant to all of this stuff out there. Not our listeners, of course, the most intelligent in the podcast world, whom we thank because they like, follow, and share on Rumble. Sharing is the most important part.
Or share, like, and follow.
Yeah, they could do all that. I like that. Maybe share first, then like and follow, because we want you to share these episodes.
You can follow, important. Share, and like.
Well, Jim, I don't want to confuse them. Maybe I think that's part of the problem is you confuse them. I'm just saying.
Like throwing you off. That's all.
I know you. It's what you do to me all the time.
But again, Christie, please, go back and listen to every interview we did with her.
Oh my God.
and tell me that things aren't happening the way she predicted it.
Yeah. You tell me.
I'm telling you, folks, when these people are in the know, and they know a lot more than us.
They're in the know.
Okay. And actually,
they're in the know.
They know a lot
more.
Boy,
how fortunate are we to know them and to have them come on and all that. I can't thank them all enough. That's how fortunate we are. As always, we say we're better people for it. And we are.
Absolutely.
Because now we're, and once you can't unknow. Right. So all of you listening, and you know what to do. So just do it. Just do it. It's simple. Jim, that's all I got today. Folks, thank you again. Again, like, follow, and share on Rumble. We will be back Thursday. Another interview. Folks, just stay tuned. A lot's happening in this world. And Jim and I are going to be here to tell you all about it. Jim, until then, you got something?
I guess. Boy, I feel like
I was on a flow there.
I feel like a lot of people are going to get. Okay, look, when I say, I am not saying abortion is not an important issue.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Say what you want. Who cares what they think?
Well, I just want everybody to understand when I just get upset when people use that as the main reason.
As what the number one thing. It's because that's the only way, that's the only message they can get across. It's the only one that resonates with everybody. Because it's like, I can't pay for my groceries, but dang it, a woman should have a right to choose. I'm not saying... Huh?
You and I are both pro-life.
Yes, 100%.
But I'm willing to negotiate a 12 month up to 12 weeks.
Months. What are we, elephants? How long do they have?
Up to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
To save our country.
For you to sit there and say, maybe we need to draw.
Yeah.
Or maybe we need to build a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm willing to come to the table to discuss that.
Right.
In order to save our republic.
Right.
And I'll fight that battle later.
Yep.
I'll fight that battle later.
Yeah, but I'll argue that point all the time. If you are one of those one issue people, that's what you're. That is what. Then
that is the problem.
You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing this country a disservice,
and the future a disservice.
Yep,
that's for sure. The future generations. Jim, all right, good point. I'm, good point to interrupt me on that one. I guess pissed me off, but anyways,
I like to interrupt you.
What do you care, Jim? Until Thursday, and everybody else, thank you, and talk to you soon, my friend. And goodbye.
You've been listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for Two Guys, One Coup. That's the number 2, guys, and the number 1, Coup, C-O-U-P. Thanks again for listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.